and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would film basically like a bit of a drive with me / Costa mukbang, I suppose, because I'm going to Costa right now. I'm gonna get a drink because I don't actually have a Starbucks drive-through, I only have a Costa one, so it's gonna have to do. It's a bit awkward because I've actually ended up behind a hearse, and I think I've ended up behind a funeral, which is a bit awkward. I think what I'm gonna do is, on the way to Costa, I'm gonna kind of talk about my lockdown feelings, favourites, what I've been doing to cope, and kind of how I feel now that we are almost on our way out of lockdown. And then I think once I get to Costa and I park up, I'm going to do a bit of a story time about basically my experience of working in fast food and essentially why I left McDonald's. So if you're just here for the story time part of this video, I'm going to leave a timestamp on the screen now of when I'm going to do essentially a story time. But for now, I'm just going to kind of talk about lockdown feelings, favourites, how I'm coping. It's alright, I'm now leaving the funeral. The awkwardness of that is gone. So, in Scotland now, the lockdown rules are kind of being eased and we are essentially coming out of lockdown. And I'm not gonna lie, I am quite an anxious person. I get anxious about a lot of social situations. So, while most people I think have hated lockdown, for me, I've actually really not minded it because I've just been able to kind of coop myself up in my house and not really do much things that would generally make me anxious. I'm by no means trying to say I have anxiety, it's definitely not that. I just think I get more anxious than most people would in certain situations. So for me, I actually feel really anxious about coming out of lockdown. I feel like I've forgotten how to speak to people. Yeah, I'm hopefully going to be going back to work soon. For people that don't know, I'm usually at uni in Edinburgh, but when I'm home over the summer I work in a factory, but they are taking forever to get back to me to tell me whether or not I can go back, which is really annoying because this time last year I would have been back by now, and I just feel really guilty that I'm not at work earning any money, and it has been getting me down. But I'm just trying to think that it's totally out with my control. There's nothing I can do to make them hurry up and get back to me. For lockdown, I've definitely found coping mechanisms in terms of how to kind of keep myself entertained, because obviously I've not been able to see my boyfriend for ages. I had to leave a lot of my uni friends really early, and although I say that I think I've coped with lockdown better than other people, it still has been a struggle. And for me, I definitely have found a new love in cooking. I always have enjoyed cooking, but at uni, like, you just ain't got the time or the money to cook fancy things. But during lockdown, I've really been taking the time to cook nice things, to bake, and to just enjoy making things whilst actually having the time to make things. So that has been one coping mechanism that I've definitely used. As well as that, I've been reading more. I mentioned the Louis Theroux book in my last favourites, and recently I've been reading Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race, which, if you have not read, highly recommend. Really educational and a good read that I think everyone should read. Another thing that's definitely been getting me through is kind of just working on my mindset, and rather than just thinking about how much time I'm wasting, being grateful for the fact that I'm getting to spend time at home with my family. For example, obviously in Edinburgh, I don't get to see my mum as much, and it's just been nice to be able to spend time at home with my mum that I would never ever usually get. So if you are struggling with the constant dread of feeling like this year has been a waste, just try and focus on things that are making you feel grateful. Even just thinking how grateful I am that I have a roof over my head and a comfy bed to sleep in at night makes you realise that the position you are in really is not that bad. And luckily that none of my family have been affected by the coronavirus, which obviously I am super grateful for. So yeah, just working on your mindset, working on feeling positive, because I'm very much a pessimist. I tend to always look at the negative things. So if you're like me as well, I would really recommend just trying to focus on things that are good in your life. Another way that I have been coping in lockdown has definitely been starting my YouTube channel. I have honestly wanted to start one for years, and I actually had one. I made a YouTube channel 6 years ago, so I would have been 12. I would have been 12 when I made it, and I loved it. I had a YouTube channel, I had a blog, and then I had an Instagram and a Twitter for my channel, and I really did love making videos, interacting with people. But then I ended up putting all my videos onto private because I just couldn't cope with the fact that people might find it, and it really infuriates me that I did that, because if you think about it, 6 years ago YouTube was really like at its hype, and if I had kept my channel up through high school and through starting uni, it's just like, think of like where I could be. I just thought, I'm in lockdown, I'm so bored, I wanted to start it for ages, so I'm just gonna do it, because I think a lot of people don't bite the bullet and then they end up just not starting one and really regretting it, and I just didn't want to do that. So I've been really loving making videos. So I'm really not that bothered about like how big it grows or anything like that. It's just a bit of fun for me, because I also have been thinking a lot about the fact that I don't have any hobbies, and I really want more hobbies, and YouTube is something that I literally watch religiously. So I thought, well, you know, YouTube can be my hobby, and so far I've been really enjoying it. But yeah, I think that's all my kind of lockdown feelings and favourites and what I've been doing to cope that I can think of right now. I'm also really sorry about my air freshener here. I'm aware that that will probably be annoying quite a lot of people, but I can't move my camera mount, which is really annoying. I actually bought like a mount for my car specifically to do drive with me's, because I love watching drive with me's. I just find them really relaxing, and I don't know why. So I thought I'd buy a mount so I could film some. So if you guys do like this video and like drive with me's, then please let me know and I will keep doing them. Is that mud on the seat next to me? I really need to clean my car. I really need to clean my car. But anyway, I've been rambling on quite a lot, and I think that that is everything in terms of like favourites and feelings. So I'm gonna pick you guys up again once I have got my Costa, and then I will start the story time of essentially why I left McDonald's, because it's kind of juicy. It's kind of not, but it's kind of juicy, and I thought it just might be interesting in case any of you guys are like going to work in McDonald's or have worked there. I'm kind of just going to share my experience and essentially why I ended up leaving. So yeah, I'll pick you guys up when I get there. I've been to Costa. I got a small peach iced tea. I really love iced tea. They're one of my favourite drinks. Fun fact, I hate coffee. I am one of those people, I can't deal with coffee. I think it tastes so strong and just awful. Anyway, I'm going to start the story time. This video now, basically me working at McDonald's, what it was like, how I found it, and essentially why I ended up leaving. So a bit of backstory, I'd worked in fast food before. I worked in a chippy, which could have a whole other story time in itself. That was an experience, and it was just like a privately owned chippy, so a very different experience to then going to work for like a big corporation. But basically I was in Edinburgh at uni and I really needed a job, and a lot of people had told me to try McDonald's. I ended up going to McDonald's in Edinburgh, which I'm not going to name obviously, but I worked there part-time. I think I started in March of 2019 and I left in December of 2020, so I was there for a while. I had the summer off, but I worked about 2 shifts a week, and then near kind of May, when I'd finished my exams in first year, I ended up working like quite a lot before I actually moved out, and then when I came back I only did 1 shift a week because I ended up luckily getting a job with my university, which enabled me to end up being able to leave. So I don't want this to come across like I am slating the McDonald's that I worked for, because I'm really not. There were some really lovely people to work for. You could just really tell that it was ran by a major corporation. Like the managers would kind of be like, hi, how are you? But it was all so fake. Like you could tell that they had been trained to kind of make their staff feel wanted and liked, and I hate that. Coming from working in a small chippy where it was just kind of, you just get on with it, to then all this fakeness, it was just weird and I wasn't used to it. And I totally could see why they do it, because they do want to have that kind of team environment, but it just, some of them were really over the top with it, to the point where it was really patronising. Like I'd often be asked to stand on the door, welcome people in, and I'd have people coming over being like, well done, great job, you're doing amazing. And I'd just be like, I'm literally standing at a door. I'm standing at a door saying hello to people. I'm not working out how to cure some miraculous disease. It was just patronising, and I didn't mind that because I had in the past worked with really awful people, so at least it wasn't like that. However, there was one day where the big managers came to like inspect the store, and he was horrible. He was so horrible. It made me so stressed out. I was on this bit called Bev Cell, which is basically drinks, so I couldn't leave there, and I was just making drinks. And then one of my other friends was just rushed off his feet. I couldn't help him. He ended up putting a bag down and leaving it because someone else called him to do something else, like just rushed off his feet. And this guy was like, who the hell put this bag down here? I'm gonna find who did it. I'm gonna look through CCTV and they're gonna get fired. He was just being so horrible, and I could see all the managers were then getting really stressed out, and that kind of affected how they would then treat us. But in terms of the actual managers that usually ran the store day to day, they were all really nice. I did find that the kind of higher up managers wouldn't be so nice to the lower down managers, but then to us they would be nice to us. And as well as that, it was kind of cliquey. Everyone had their own little groups. There's a car behind me. Anyway, going from working in a small business where we were all really close knit to then working for like a big corporation where there was like, sometimes I would go in and know no one I was on shift with. It was just a bit weird. I didn't love it, but obviously I totally get like why that would be the case. And like I keep saying, I'm not in any way doing this to like slate McDonald's, because to be honest, my experience was on the whole pretty positive. Like, the manager was always nice to me. No one I worked with was horrible per se. It just could sometimes feel really bitchy, but I think you do get that in kind of every job. The one thing that made me really dislike it and kind of contributed to why I left was when I first went for the interview, I was told that you'd only really be on a station for, I can't remember how long they told me, but basically get your own station. So like, you could be on Bev Cell, which is drinks, you could be packing the bags, you could be standing on the door greeting people, you could be on the till, you could be on drive-through, blah blah blah. And they're meant to kind of rotate people around quite regularly, so you're not in one place all the time. But that just didn't really happen with me. I think because I was part-time, I didn't work there all that much, I ended up not getting trained in all that much, so I kind of just felt like they were like, let's just put Tabitha here because we know that she can do it, and then not moving me around. So for example, it spoke about me being on the door greeting people. There was times where I could be standing there doing that for 4 hours, and I totally know that that's not awful, and there are jobs out there that are far worse. I know that, and I'm not trying to say that it was horrific, but if you just imagine literally just standing, not allowed to lean on anything, just standing there and just constantly saying, hi, welcome to McDonald's, hi, welcome to McDonald's, for 4 hours in the same spot. It's just so boring, and it made the shift go by so long. Especially when they first employed me, I was under the impression that I would be moved around. I'm forgetting that I have a drink in my hand. So yeah, that was not fun. I didn't enjoy just doing the same thing, especially having come from working in a chippy where there'd only be 3 of us on. You'd kind of have to do everything. Like, I found that it was often really overstaffed, and I never felt busy. I never felt like I had lots to do. It was always just clean this and clean that, like cleaning things that didn't need to be cleaned. They really were so overstaffed to the point that it was just ridiculous, and I just felt like I really wasn't needed. To be honest, the main reason why I ended up leaving was nothing to do with actually working there or the people I worked with or the runnings of it. There were a few issues I had with that, like I've already mentioned, but the main reason was the way that I was treated by the general public. Oh my god, you just can't believe how rude some people can be. It was horrific. I had been called every name under the sun, and you definitely got the sense that you were kind of being looked down on. So yeah, the main reason I actually ended up leaving was literally because of the way that the general public would speak to you. If you've ever worked in fast food, you'll know what it's like. Well, not even just fast food, like retail, anything that involves people. It kind of just astonishes me how rude people think they can be. I don't know if it's just because there's such a stigma around people working at McDonald's and looking down on it, which I just think is awful. Like, it honestly made me feel like I wanted to say to everyone, I am doing a degree, I don't just work here, and I know how awful that is in itself. Like, there's literally nothing wrong with working at McDonald's. It's a perfectly fine job, and the fact that people made me feel like such a piece of dirt that I felt like I needed to explain that this wasn't my job, like, it's awful, and that makes me feel awful, like, makes me feel like an awful person for being like that. I remember one specific situation that was just horrendous. Like, basically, when you buy so many coffees, you get stickers and you can end up getting one for free. And this guy came up and he said he had something like a gift card, or I can't remember. He called it something that made no sense to me because they're essentially like a voucher for a free coffee, and he was just making no sense. And I asked, I'm really sorry, I don't know what you mean, would you mind repeating that? He kept saying it and I was like, I'm really not too sure what you mean. And he ended up getting so angry with me. He drove round to the window, like sped round to the window, just because I'd said I'm not too sure what you mean, and then I said I'm just going to go and get my colleagues to see if they know what you mean. And it took them a while as well for them to understand that he meant the free coffee voucher, because he was just calling it everything that it wasn't. Like, why would you not just say I have a thing to get a free coffee? I honestly don't remember exactly what he called it, but he just called it things that that you wouldn't call it. And maybe I was being a bit stupid, but this was when I used to work 6 a.m. till 2, and I'm not a morning person, so my brain just was not turned on at this point. I think it was about 6 in the morning. And anyway, he sped round and he ended up calling me the C word, and, you know, just calling me stupid and all these names, like screaming in my face, and I couldn't say anything. I had to just stand there and take that and just ignore him. And it really does, like, I wouldn't say it got to me, because I'm like, God, people are actually like that. Like, I feel sorry for them that you'd get that angry over something so tiny that could have just been explained in such a calm way. Anyway, he just made me really lose faith in what people are like. And there are many more stories than that. I could go on. That probably isn't the worst, but the one I can think of right now. There were other things, just like blaming us for like certain items being not on the menu, constantly getting blamed for things that, do I look like I am the manager of this huge corporation? No. I'm working here to earn some money whilst I'm at uni. It is not my problem that, let's say, the Big Tasty has been taken off the menu. Do I have any control in that? No! And then I remember another time where there was a mum and a child, and the mum said to the child, like, on the sly, you never want to end up like these people working here. That's when you know you've failed in life. I just remember sitting there and thinking, what the hell? It didn't bother me because I was just working there part-time, but imagine working there full-time, providing for yourself and providing for a family, and hearing something like that. It really infuriated me, and I think it needs to be normalised a lot more, working in places like McDonald's, because it's literally a job. There's literally nothing wrong with it. It was a combination of basically the main thing being the way people would treat me, as in the public. I did find it a bit annoying being patronised all the time, and how cliquey it was, and not being kind of rotated like we should have been, but that would have never really been like the main reason why I quit. And essentially I ended up getting jobs at my university. I have 3 jobs actually at my university, which I'm very fortunate that I was able to get. When I left, I had emailed them saying I was going to resign and heard nothing. I emailed them being like, can you confirm that you've got my resignation? I just never heard anything. It's quite a while after that they sent me, is it a P45? I think it's a P45. It was a while after that they sent me that. This was over Christmas, so the letter went to my flat in Edinburgh, and I had no way of knowing whether or not they'd received anything, and I kept emailing them asking them to confirm, and they just didn't. But I can kind of understand that, because like I said, they're a big corporation, they have people coming in and out all the time. But yeah, that is essentially my story of working in McDonald's and why I left. If you are thinking of working there as a part-time job, I would, to be honest, go for it. Like I said, to work for, they were quite good. They let me have summer off, they were really flexible with shift times. It was just tiny annoying things, and nothing of McDonald's fault that really pushed me to the edge, i.e. the general public. So if you are thinking of working there, you need some money, and you've heard horror stories, just give it a go, because it really wasn't that bad. It was just that when I had my jobs at uni and I was able to do that to support myself, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna leave. So yeah, that is my story time / drive with me lockdown feelings. This is kind of a mishmash of a video. I've actually really enjoyed filming it. So if you did enjoy this video, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!